Hello everyone, welcome back to Witch in the Woods. Last time was interesting, but I'm feeling quite invigorated now. I'm feeling very healthy. Got some colour back in my cheeks, and my hair is the usual bloody stuff, so that's great. Nice to have that back. So also you can see on my HUD that I have tinkered around with the Ars Magica 2 settings, so we can now actually see how much mana I have, what level I am, how much burnout I've got, and that I'm at 100% on my Ender Affinity. It took me so long to get that, but fortunately Dave said it did help a bit. Just don't tell him that. So, the first thing that you'll know with the Ender Affinity is that if I am in a dark area, I have actually turned my particles off because it does this all the time, it will give me 13-15 seconds of night vision 2. I don't know exactly how the 2 helps me much, but it does mean that I am never going to have to lighten up my video for you guys to see it clearly ever again. Let's see, I'm also more or less immune to poison. I could wander into the big dungeon here and we'll have a lot of fun times, but I'm not going to show you that, like, for obvious reasons. I don't want to die, because we do still have a little bit more work to do on the immortality machine. Here we go, one off. It only happens when I'm standing in, I think it's like level 6 or 7, but it also seems to bug out with, like, partial blocks, so it's a little, like, turning uppy every time we... Ooh, there's a lot of skeletons in there. Right, well anyways, so... Progress on the base is our first port of call. I have platinum seeds now, so we're just making platinum, which makes enderium very easy to get, so fantastic. Growing iron now as well, because I've pretty much exhausted all the iron in the surrounding area via our digital miner, which now has a direct hookup both to our main power supply and to the ME system, which is constantly making sure it has 64 cobblestone to actually, like, replace blocks with. So walking through the caves is an interesting experience now. We've got a tree farm up, you probably noticed that very early. One thing I need to note is that power through the conduits, at least, seems to be a little bit buggy. You'll boot up a world, you'll come in, and I'm guessing it's from the chunk loading unloading, but for whatever reason, something isn't getting power, or something is losing all of its power immediately, and it's just not displaying anywhere else. Try replacing the conduits, try reloading the chunks, that's my only advice. I don't know what causes it, I don't know what the specifics of it are. But we are growing birch, trying to grow spruce saplings. Why is there... That is weird. That's... Look at the whaler at the top there. Spruce sapling, oak sapling, spruce sapling, oak sapling. That's very strange. But Rowan over here as well. Oop, speak of the birch. Right, so we've got Rowan, we've got birch. We're mostly doing this for the saplings. This is a dense, so it's only coming up here whenever there's no room for it elsewhere, and there's currently a ton of sticks, I think it is. No, ton of cobble, making sure that these are only able to hold a stack of a given sapling, so this is a sapling farm more than anything else. Let me see, I think the next level, I'm gonna redo this floor, I think. I'm gonna work out what the different levels should look like what the top level should look like overall, and just degrade that gradually down. So this floor will be changing at some point, but for the time being it's staying. Let me see. Taglog resupply, haven't done that yet, but we do have a bunch of suggestions in the comments about it, most of which I already knew, but go read them yourself if you're interested in getting into this. Have automated the induction smelter, which can now make us some hardened glass. Automate the redstone furnace, which can make clay jars, silicon, patterns, glass itself. That can shut up. Thank you. Highly professional, I know. We've got the pulverizer, which can make obsidian to make the hardened glass, can also make nether quartz, does for most of the ME stuff, and can make sand. More or less, though, this place hasn't changed much. And next level up, this is where we've seen most of our changes. So we've got a partition editor down here, which is allowing me to define what goes where, so a lot of stuff is now moving over into here. So, yeah, a lot of the ores are coming out of the miner are, so let's take a look at the iron. 447 iron ore, 38 pulverized iron tool to process. I'm going to stick that in the smeltery. Haven't automated actually making these ingots just yet and such. We're going to be touching on a bit of mechanism to try and at least triple the ores, so they'll make our boons from the farms even better. But yeah, that's that. And I also taught this thing how to make the intermediary essences, so it can craft right up to extreme essence if it has the resources. And it can craft a whole ton of stuff, and the reason for that is that we have a Mac. Haven't christened him just yet, but he's here. So we've only got the one, like, pattern provider in here right now, but it's got a fair few things. So it's got most of the things we need for working with applied energistics. It's got a few pieces for working with thermal expansion, so item ducts, redstone energy conduits, although it can't fill them with redstone just yet. We've got the patterns for the essences, and we've got a bunch of witchery stuff. We don't have puppets, or at least we don't have the death protection puppets. That's what we're working on today, because we need to automate a distillery. Oh, and up here hasn't really changed much, but the Ars Magica 2 section has an Oculus now, so yeah, I've been working around a little bit, not too much, because we haven't really got any spells, but we have 100%. So, weakness to water, weakness to sunlight, I don't know what that actually means, because being in water and being in sunlight doesn't seem to actually have any, like, numeric effect upon me, so not a really big issue. But resistance to poison, dark vision, and unmentioned is that Endermen no longer aggro if I look at them. They'll aggro if I punch them, but not if I look at them. But by and large, we are still kind of just starting out with Ars Magica, so it's not that big of a deal right now. But yes, we are coming down here and we are automating at least one distillery, probably two, but two would require me to craft one. So the way that we automate distilleries is we are going to need some patterns to tell it recipes, and we're going to need an ME interface to expunge them, and we're going to need a few more things to deal with it as well. But crucially, we need at least one distillery per recipe. And there's a reason for this. The reason is that the way that applied energistics works with recipes is it will start at the top and it will go down. It won't start at the bottom and work up. So it'll try to craft everything it can up until it runs out of something, up until it finds something that it can't craft for whatever reason. So if it's trying to make glass in our system, for example, and it will discover that it doesn't have any sand to make the glass, it will start making the sand. If it discovers that it makes sand from cobblestone and doesn't have any cobblestone, it will try and make the cobblestone. Now that's a very simple recipe. If it gets more complicated, it starts doing it partially, so it will eject part of the distillery recipe before it does the rest, and if it then has another distillery recipe, which is the case, because a lot of the distillery recipes are very much like procedural, so let's take a look at them. Okay, so Tear of the Goddess requires Breath of the Goddess. Breath of the Goddess just comes from making, just from burning some stuff inside there, but Refined Evil comes from Diamond Vapor, which is another recipe. So if it was to discover that it has gas tears, but no Diamond Vapor, it will shove a gas tear into the distillery, and it will try and shove the diamond and the oil of vitriol in as well, and that will basically jam up the distillery. So we need a bit of wiring. So let me see, ME cable, and we're going to need an interface to actually interface with the system, and I guess we'll start with the Diamond Vapor, because that's the most common one we're going to need. Okay, so you can put items into the top or the sides of the distillery. It will happily take in its bottles as needed, and then you import them from the side. Now, I don't believe I actually have imports in here. I might be wrong. I could very well be wrong. Nope, I do not. Okay, so that means we have to go through the process of adding a new recipe. Now, we just need a basic import, so this shouldn't take too long. Okay, so, yeah, fairly simple. So let's get a pattern for that. Presently, the Mac is 1 part pattern provider, 2 parts, what are you looking for? Oh, you are currently crafting some glass. Okay. So, yeah, now that the Mac knows it can make all these via these interfaces, it's just shoving them through. I do have one little thing at the back here. Sorry about the unstable frame rate. I think it's just I've had the client open for a while, working with stuff. Back here, I've taken advantage of our big wall, which is 3 blocks tall, which is perfect for doing this. So I have some level emitters, and these are all attuned to various things, and some export buses, which are all told to always craft. And they're just pointing into some interfaces to transfer items to. So over here, for example, I have it set that if we have less than 64 sand, then this level limiter will turn on and tell this export bus to start crafting sand, and that will keep things static so that I don't have to worry about making sure that all of the processes are running at tip-top maximum speed. They just have to be having a high enough backlog to not care. Okay, so cable... Oh wait, no, we were making patterns, weren't we? Of course. Dopey me, dopey me. Okay. So, in we come now. Right. Yeah, if you leave clients like Minecraft open for long enough, they start to drop in frame rates. I think it's sort of a memory leak issue. Anyways. Okay, so that is one, and we're going to need another for a sticky piston, because that's not in the system either. Whoop, back. And there. Encode. Okay. And we can just dump those in here. Perfect. Not a worry in the world. Except that the system presently doesn't have any slime in it, so that's not fantastic. Okay. There. Get a bunch of slime as a byproduct from distilling a few things, so that is fine. Right. Basic import. Craft. Wasn't that easy. Doop. And we're going to need some more cable. This thing knows how to make fluic stuff, so that's fine. Okay. Making the cable needs wood. Okay, we can provide wood, thankfully. Haven't told it how to use the precision sawmill just yet. Guess I'll have to do that at some point. Of course, the precision sawmill is very loud, so it's not fantastic. I think that was a birch tree. Yeah. Pity, pity. Was hoping we'd actually eventually see some kind of, wait, why am I doing... It's about to go upstairs, I can just shove them in here. Done. Was hoping we'd finally see a spruce, because spruce is kind of vital, so, yeah. But yeah, this is now automated to, with the rowan saplings and the spruce saplings, if we ever get any. So we can now craft with of magic. Now, I've told the recipes here that 11 saplings will create 5, that's an understatement. It will probably create closer to 10 or 11, because we've got the double filters on it. But, what the system doesn't know won't hurt it, because as long as it's got some of the thing in storage, it will actually, like, continue to craft perfectly before it orders something to be made. So not that big of an issue. Right, I'm gonna go up here, away from the very noisy machine. Yeah, right. So, import. Nope, you're still missing something? No, you're working on glass. You're both working on glass, apparently. And you're just grinding up some nether quartz. Okay, yeah. So if I look at the essences that we've got so far, we have a lot of ghast essence, a lot of source quartz essence, a lot of skeleton essence, and some sort of middling other things as well, so ender essence that we kind of need direly for the engines and such, blaze essence, and nether essence, a whole side of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that I don't really need to be crafting on a regular basis, but it's there just in case. Okay, you are done with the import bus, I think. Yep. Yes, there we are. Okay, so somebody did point out, with regards to getting tag locks, that I can pull tag locks off of beds. The answer to that is yes and no. You absolutely can, but you have to have, like, somebody has to have slept in the bed and be online. Like, when the tag lock is attempted to take, because if you've just placed it, if no one is online that has slept in that bed, it returns... I forget what the username was, but it was probably an F-Line Logistics dev. It returns a tag lock of them, so just a blank bed returns, I presume, a dev's tag lock. Which isn't too bad, except that I don't need that. I might have, like, an emergency sort of backup one for that, but for the time being, we'll just stick with my current plan. And my current plan revolves around using... let me just sort this out, because we need another pattern, so that we can tell this how to use stuff. So yeah, I think it's going to be one distillery per thing. Okay, back. A little worried because I couldn't see the FPS counter down there. So, if we just quickly clear that and put that in there, tell it a diamond, a oil of vitriol, and let me see, is it... I forget how many things we're going to need here. 3. There we go. And we need a diamond vapor as an example. So we shall hop down here and then see what we can make. Dupe. Do. Alright, constant shift to click into these things. That would be a nice thing to add. M&F, get on it. Right. Now, the downside of using applied energy sticks for this, for the automation, is that you can only tell a pattern that it creates one thing, or at least one kind of thing. This means you cannot, in fact, tell it that it can create, that it results in multiple things. For example, that using a bucket of liquid ender inside of make the Enderium blend recipe will return a bucket. So the system doesn't recognize this. Now, this is not so big of an issue in the course of making stuff in external machines like the distillery, because we are importing anything that comes out, but it means that we can't tell it about byproducts, like we can't tell it that it can make slime balls and such. So that's a problem. It's also an issue that we can't tell it how to make odor purity, unless we want to just give it a duplicate recipe. Sort of something we just sort of have to deal with. It's a pain, but it can work. Anyways. My frames are still kind of bugging out a little bit. Okay, so 2 diamond essence. So if we encode that there, and then we can come... Actually, why am I going this way? There. Down. Okay. Down again. No. Down again. Right, thank you. Honestly. Staffs of teleportation. Okay, so we stick that there, and the system now knows that it can craft diamond vapor using oil of vitriol, 3 clay jars, and a diamond, and it will make 2 of them. We've imported everything here, so the odor of purity that we also get from that recipe is perfectly fine and good. So now we need to tell it how to make oil of vitriol, and then we can tell it how to make refined evil. And then it will actually be able to make the drop of luck, and will be fully on the way of making our diff protection poppets. But that is something that I will investigate next time. Next time I think we might start on the advanced genetic stuff. And you'll find out why I think I have that idea in mind right now. Because, homework review. So, the last little thing that we investigated, the last movie that we watched in our homework was Undead. It is a alien zombie comedy kind of movie. It's really fun. Made in Australia for a very, very low budget, but their production is fantastic. The quality of that movie is so well done. And they draw a lot of their influences from the older horror movies. So you can see the influences of that a lot there. So things like Nosferatu, things like the B-movies of the 50s. You can see a lot of the influences in that movie very well. As I said before, it throws a lot of curveballs with exactly who or what the monster is. So first you think it's zombies, then you think it's aliens, and then we go back to zombies by the end of it, and then you realize it's actually, yeah, still definitely zombies by the end of it. And then you realize that, hey, we've actually always been, like, completely helpless against this threat, regardless of how well our characters have been looking. Oh yeah, I should mention, I've been working on the power just back here, so it's a little bit higher. Not enough to get, like, a pet just yet, but, you know, it's there. We can summon demons if we like. Or if we do, I might want to cover up these glowstone at that point. But yeah, Undead, really good, like, classical movie done in the modern times kind of thing. The zombies, nicely done. Very, very much they were, like, even if you shoot them through the head, they're going to keep coming back up. There's specifically one person who is punched through the face and still comes back later. But our movie this time is... Ooh, I look very nice with my full regalia on again. This one is going to be body horror, and it's going to be trigger warnings for rape. Bear with it. If you have triggers for it, obviously don't, but, you know, I can understand it being a very sensitive subject. But, this movie is Splice. Now, this was really, really magnificently well done. There are moments that will make you cringe. There are moments that will make you cry. There are moments that will make you shout, "Oh, shning," or insert your own swear word there. I can't swear, so, yeah. What we're looking for here is a similar thing to Undead. Who or what is the monster? So see if you can identify it. And definitely let me know in the comments exactly what you thought of all of the characters, the full scheme, and their various actions. Nobody in this movie is perfect. Everybody in this movie is flawed and human. Everyone. But that is why next time we'll be touching on advanced genetics. So I shall catch you all next time.